When an operation crosses $1 million in revenue, or a portfolio scales past 50 properties, the mechanics of the business fracture. The daily reality for the founder shifts from strategic growth to managing relentless, localized chaos. At this specific threshold, finding new market opportunities is no longer the primary constraint. The hard limit on growth becomes the founder's own cognitive capacity. There are simply not enough mental cycles left to process the volume of decisions required. This chart shows the trajectory scaling creates. As the line for business complexity sharply rises, the founder's cognitive bandwidth flatlines. The growing red area between them is the operational void. Ignoring this widening gap forces a structural change. The leader stops functioning as a visionary architect and is compressed into an overworked, highly paid operational bottleneck. The typical response to this pressure is a retreat into absolute self-reliance. Founders intellectualize their workload, convincing themselves that holding tightly to control is the only way to ensure quality. They hoard tasks because they harbor a deep mistrust of fragile human systems and unproven delegation models. Passing off critical functions feels riskier than simply working an 80-hour week. Attempting to solve this by adopting basic artificial intelligence as a search engine or chatbot only compounds the problem. A cluttered digital workspace filled with disjointed windows and one-off tools creates paralysis by analysis, not efficiency. The core misconception is treating AI as a software tool you occasionally ask questions. To be effective, AI must be deployed as an infrastructural employee embedded directly into the daily workflow. To survive the scaling process, founders must pivot from operating the mechanics themselves to designing an agent-first ecosystem, where digital agents execute the routine logic. Transitioning from operator to architect is the primary requirement for scaling a business while maintaining quality control. The immediate question becomes where to actually inject this intelligence into an existing company without inducing operational chaos. The primary rule of integration is strict. Never bolt artificial intelligence onto a broken or undocumented process. If the workflow is chaotic for a human, it will be disastrous for an agent. The business's existing documentation must serve as the exact instruction manual. The AI requires rigid parameters, clear goals, and established key performance indicators to function accurately. The highest return on investment for an injection point is your pre-existing repetitive standard operating procedures, or SOPs. Digitizing these proven manual routines removes the friction of human error. It also prevents your team from accumulating unnecessary third-party applications that clutter the technology stack. Existing procedures serve as a boundary, preventing the distraction of adopting new software tools simply because they are available. We must differentiate between basic usage and leverage. There is a stark difference between Level 1 and Level 3. Level 1 relies on a large language model, a system trained on massive datasets to recognize and generate human language for isolated tasks like drafting an email or summarizing a single document. This chart shows an autonomous Level 3 workflow. A single user input triggers multiple specialized agent nodes, processing different data streams simultaneously without requiring further human prompting. Consider a routine manual real estate workflow, researching off-market properties, building contact lists, and drafting targeted sales scripts.
Executing this specific sequence manually typically consumes 10 to 20 hours of a virtual assistant's workweek. By feeding a structured prompt into an agent mode configuration, that exact 20-hour workflow is compressed into just 7 minutes of processing time. Moving to Level 3 infrastructure reclaims massive blocks of calendar time, instantly converting labor hours into rapid computational execution. We can observe this architecture applied directly to the hiring and acquisitions bottleneck. The traditional method requires the founder to manually interview and vet dozens of inbound sales candidates, a process that drains hours of productive time. Instead, we deploy the sales filter, an automated bot configured to conduct initial role-play interviews with every applicant via a phone link. This dashboard shows the bot's strict rubric. It stress tests candidates with objections, scores their verbal responses in real time, and tags their performance metrics instantly. The rule is absolute. Any candidate scoring below a 60 is rejected before the founder ever schedules a call. This automated filter protects the founder's calendar.
ensuring they only interact with pre-vetted, highly capable talent. A second operational application involves managing complex client communications and eliminating post-negotiation friction. After a 90-minute property walkthrough or a high-stakes distressed real estate negotiation, specific deal terms are easily forgotten or misinterpreted by both parties. We solve this by introducing the Synthesis Engine. We ingest the raw audio transcript of the client meeting directly into Notebook LM. Notebook LM is an AI-powered research and note-taking tool that processes and synthesizes uploaded documents. The artificial intelligence parses the unstructured conversation and extracts the exact commitments, transforming them into a rigid, trackable protocol. The immediate client-facing output is an automated run of show, a personalized digital timeline detailing the exact next actions required from both sides. Delivering this document preempts objections because the system provides a shared memory of the agreement. The Synthesis Engine removes the liability of flawed human memory, structuring conversational chaos into accountability. The final architectural layer addresses the founder's own physical limits in both marketing and routine client touchpoints. We can deploy trained digital avatars to standardize daily social media output and deliver routine property walkthroughs automatically, without requiring a camera setup. The primary benefit is decoupling the founder's time from their output. This maintains a high-quality digital footprint without the constant burden of filming or travel. Avatar deployment severs the tie between your physical location and your brand's ability to project authority into the market. When we zoom out to view the complete agent-first architecture, the contrast with a broken, human-bottlenecked organizational chart is immediate. The mathematical reality of an AI-leveraged enterprise is that output is no longer tied to the number of people on staff. Instead, it scales through pure computational efficiency. Unlocking this scale requires a decision to step outside the ego-driven layer of manual self-reliance. Scale becomes a function of how well a leader can orchestrate these agents, whereas manual execution remains tied to a single person's limited hours. To scale infinitely, you must stop operating the machine and finally become the architect of the entire system.